All right, welcome back to the Tool World Podcast. I'm your host, David Ju. I'm here with Master Ju.
Hello, Mr. Ju.
Hello.
Okay, just hello. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
hello.
fine.
All right, this week we're going to be talking a little bit about junior black belts.
All right, junior black belts. What are they? They're not black belts. They're juniors.
Well, you have different types of junior black belts too, and then you also have. We'll talk a little bit about junior black belts in other organizations
or
right?
other stuff. Yeah, right. That's kind of interesting because, like, in our organization, the requirements are requirements. It doesn't matter if you're 5 years old or 99 years old,
right?
Or 100 years, whatever. Right?
Right.
It's the same requirements. However, some schools and maybe some organizations actually have a separate curriculum. And
well, yeah.
I don't know if that's different.
That might be more about the school, but if we look at it, I want to take a look at like ITF versus like getting certification through the Cookie One, because the Cookie One actually certifies junior black belts too, which we'll cover.
Okay.
But let's start with our organization first, right?
Well, I'm curious about the Cookie One. What are the requirements? What makes them a junior black belt?
Well,
I mean, I don't really know.
So
how do you know these?
I don't know. Anyways, so from my understanding, I don't know if it's
talking to someone else, talking to some
gonna
WT
convert to WT. From my understanding is that people that are under like the age of like 15 are provided what they would call a POOM belt.
Oh, okay.
And so you could be POOM certified through the Cookie One, right? Who gives out all the certificates that are internationally recognized.
But technically, ITF originally was that if you were a junior, you had a black belt with a white stripe in it.
Right, and so in the Cookie One, if you're a POOM belt, it's a red and black belt.
Okay,
half and half, I believe. And the significance of it is that the students that achieve that are technically proficient and very good, but mentally they might not be there.
Yeah.
You have a 12-year-old. Okay, yeah, I understand. 12-year-old.
Can't be master at 14.
No, you can't, right? So there are limitations just because of how your brain works, right?
Sure.
But that's not to say that some of these kids that started at 4 or 5 are not.
And they do
really
amazing stuff.
Yeah, they do these crazy things. I mean, they could do 720s, or maybe technically they're very good.
I mean, you look at gymnastics, and I think the average age for gymnasts are like 16, 17. I'm not sure, but it's really young.
Yeah.
And it's like only that group of people could actually do it.
Yeah.
If you're over 25 years old, it's like I'm probably not as good, or it's like you're over the hill already.
Oh, I don't know. Is that true for gymnastics?
I don't know. I was watching a little bit of the Olympics, and Simone Biles, I think she's still pretty good. I mean, it's like, wow, oh my gosh, But she's like, at that age, has probably
you mean one of the greatest gymnasts of our time? Going to be, I think.
Is she really?
She jumped like 20 feet in the air the other day.
Yeah, I
I don't even watch gymnastics, but I still saw that.
Well, yeah, that's true with athletes today. They're just gotten to be better, They can do more stuff than 20, 30 years ago. Taekwondo's the same. I mean, there's no difference. I think that some of the things that we see in Taekwondo today is probably, we weren't doing it 20, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Or maybe we're not seeing some of the stuff we did back then either. I don't know. Anyway, your point being Poomsae belt.
No, POOM belt, not Poomsae.
Oh.
Poomsae is a form.
POOM belt. POOM belt.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, proficient and just not maybe mentally ready. I agree with that. Sure, absolutely. I think that was the idea with the white stripe. I think the reason why we didn't have, that wasn't really enforced is because it was kind of hard to find. But today you can make all kinds of stuff, and so now you got red stripes, white stripes, blue stripes, all that stuff.
So in ITF, you could have a black belt with a white stripe, and that's for anyone that's under 18.
Right.
Depends on the organization.
Nobody likes it though.
I was about to say that. That some organizations use it, but we don't. So
it's hard to see the embroidery on it, like their name.
Yeah. I guess the general consensus is like, it's kind of like a white belt in some ways.
I'm not a real black belt.
Right. So I mean, is that a valid point?
Well, I guess it depends on your group, right? And how do people feel about that? You know, as a student, if I was a kid and I'm like, oh man, I'm not really a black belt. I'm a junior black belt.
But would you feel better if you had a red and black belt?
I wouldn't, but that's just me. You know,
I
don't
would
know.
kind. I don't know. I kind of feel like I'd be okay with the red and black belt.
You-
It's like
you'd be
kind.
okay?
It's like kind of like the in between of the red belt and the black belt.
That's that black stripe. Red belt with a black stripe. The black bar.
No. It's a half and half. Belt.
I know. I'm not
Well,
used
then
to
you
it.
might as well.
I'm
just,
not
no,
used to it.
well, then you should just get a black belt and have like a little white stripe, like a like across the tape there. You embroider that. in.
Then it might just look like the
It probably look like my belt right now, right?
yeah the sponsor.
Yeah.
All right, so we talked about the cookie one, junior black belt. So what is the point about what we're doing?
I guess that comes down to like what is too young. Let's pretend that there's no organization minimums or anything. This is your own personal feeling of what is too young, because now we've established that yes, students can be very good at a young age.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
Mentally, okay, they might not fully be an adult black belt.
Remember a few years ago, actually quite a few years ago, there was two kids from
Uzbekistan.
Uzbekistan, that's right, and they did Tong Il. And I was like, wow, that's pretty good. And how old were they? They were like, I don't know, 14 or something. It's like,
Yeah.
they know all the patterns. What are they going to be? What's the instructor going to teach them now? You know, it was really good, and movements and stuff like that is movements. Does it have any meaning to it? For probably a kid like that, probably doesn't. It's just that can they perfect it?
Well, you know, it's interesting that you brought up that point, because our ideas of what a mentally strong student can definitely differ compared to other countries. I mean, you look at like Master Kang's grandson, who's doing Moon Moo.
Project David,
Yeah.
right there.
Well, as a blue belt doing Moon Moo, and his side piercing kicking abilities are quite good, right? Does he have the mental capacity to be disciplined and have that perseverance? I'd probably say yes. I mean, it is not easy to perfect and practice something like how he does all the time. And he doesn't, I know for a fact that he does not just do that once in a while. He's probably been working on that.
Yeah, he probably does soccer and tennis and baseball and football, and he's got AP classes, and you know,
Uh-huh.
and he's just naturally that way.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, sure. No, he's definitely not. Like,
No, he probably
he's-
spends a lot
yeah,
of
he's-
time. It's everyday taekwondo, and it's not 1 hour.
It's practicing that
probably,
side kick
Yeah, it's
for like
Oh,
and
absolutely.
the whole hour, and then doing the patterns, right? So
and he probably, I'm only guessing, but he's probably like, you know, his instructor, which is probably his
granddad.
granddad's, right?
Yeah.
Get back there and do it some more.
Yeah, probably.
Or, you know, probably like me, it's, oh, that's awesome, good job, keep working
Yeah.
on that.
Right. So the idea of like junior black belt can actually differ depending on, you know, people's perception of it too. Because I go, hey, he is mentally not ready, but then you look at that kid and he, oh my gosh, the discipline that he has to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that.
But we're
when-
here in America, so.
Well, no, I mean, you look at like, I think you go back to like even like regular gymnastics or some sports.
Yeah.
And those guys, they put in a lot of time, a lot of hours, and they are, in many ways, mentally tough. They have
Yeah.
to be. And some, I mean, not to say anything negative about Simone Biles, but the last Olympics, she had a little issue with her mental, right? And it kind of collapsed on her.
Yeah.
But she has rebounded, and that's awesome. That's great. Does that happen with?
Hey, it's a lot of pressure, you know.
It is a lot of pressure.
When you are one of the best gymnasts in the world, it's like, oh.
Is she like the best of all time?
I think the stuff that she does, and I don't, like I said, I don't really watch gymnastics too often, but from what I've heard, is like, the stuff that she does is things that people cannot do.
You see that in figure skating as well.
Yeah, I don't watch figure skating.
Oh yeah.
so-
Well, we don't. Well, I mean, I like to watch
Maybe
some of
this
that
year,
stuff, and I was
yeah.
like, I like to see what competitors and their mindset, because I think a lot of that is their mindset.
Yeah.
And what they can do, they try it out and they just push the limit. I think and Taekwondo is the same thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, they can, patterns, kids could definitely, you have to have a pretty strong mindset to be able to do some of the things like that. As far as juniors, yeah, I think you can do it.
I mean, you look at some of those, even in sparring, like we came back from the America's Cup, and even the little Kyrgyzstan kids, they are mentally very tough.
Yeah, they are really tough, I mean, I remember umpiring at the World Championship, in sparring, and I was really impressed by what they were doing. They were tough,
Right, and so
and
it can just change.
they had the skill set, they had they had that mental capabilities. So, but that's just competition. But to classify them as a junior black belt, I think that there's some validity to that. And what is too young? Because you could have an 8-year-old. We have an 8. Well, okay, he's not 8 anymore, but he's pretty good. Mm-hmm. We hold him back because of his age, because we have minimum age requirements for different belts. Mm-hmm. But he could have been,
Well, could probably beat most of our black belts.
He can. I mean, you beat a lot of adult black belts when you were a kid, mm-hmm. and competing against some of them. So, yeah, you can have those kind of people. As a general rule, you don't have a lot of that. Well, I guess you could, but it just kind of depends on your program and how you train them and what is acceptable in that and who's going to be the tough one to stick it out.
Yeah.
But as a junior black belt, they are, from a life point of view, or some of the things that we would expect from people that do Taekwondo, they don't have it. They don't have that part, I think. Sometimes, I mean, they're still kids.
Yeah.
And I get that. Well, you have a black belt, a junior black belt, and he wants to play like a kid, but he's a black belt. He's also supposed to represent what.
But what if you have a kid that doesn't do that? Like you had the Kyrgyzstan one, then they're very like.
Yeah. Well, we only see that in.
No, I'm just saying.
Tournament. I don't know how they conduct themselves.
Oh, well, I'm sure it's probably something similar.
I mean, yeah. I mean, we have a requirement of 21 to be considered as a fourth dan, to be test for fourth dan. That's our school, and I just think that you have to be kind of I don't even know how do these age requirements. Why did they pick 16 to be able to drive, or 18 to be considered an adult? I mean, is it arbitrary, or is there a reason for that? But I think in the old days, what is old days? 30, 40 years ago, what was the minimum age of being considered? Well, a junior was anyone under the age of 18. Mm-hmm. What was the minimum age for black belts?
Well, your average age of starting was probably much higher.
Yeah, it is, right? Definitely higher. So. Now we've got more. So now we have, I've seen people, black belts at 6 years old, 7 years old.
I've seen that too, yeah.
Whoa, but they're a junior black belt. Well, okay, what's a junior black belt?
Yeah.
Is he able to do the things that a 17-year-old is capable of doing? And there is a difference mentally. A black belt can fight another black belt, one's a junior and one's an adult, and the adult might just destroy them mentally. That actually happened in our school, and unfortunately, that mental destruction, if you want to call it that, they ended up just stopping.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we're not doing that again.
Yeah. Anyways, let's wrap it up there. So let us know your thoughts on junior black belt. As always, don't forget to be safe.
Keep training.
We'll see you guys next time.
Taekwondo.